All right, we're live.
Okay, then I'm just going to start from the top. So, slide 1. Hello, CIT 270. This is Group 1, which includes Cherry Christensen, Augustine Jimenez, Tin Lee, and Cassandra Van Leidegraf. We're happy to present what we learned about VPNs. First, we'll give a brief introduction to VPNs. Then, we'll look at two-factor authentication. The next 3 parts are about installing and setting up the server and connecting to the server. Finally, we'll discuss some tools you can use to manage the VPN. So then, what is a VPN and why would I use one? A VPN is a virtual private network. It supports the use of a secure private network through a public network. In this presentation, we have chosen to configure a VPN using software. Just as a side note, this can also be accomplished through using hardware. The VPN acts as our private tunnel from a public network to our destination. Let's say I have a VPN set up on my home network. Then, anytime I'm using public Wi-Fi, such as at an airport or library, I can reroute my connection through this VPN at home. This provides security that is not found on public networks. An attacker who takes advantage of these public, unsecure networks would not be able to access my data. VPNs provide security and privacy through many different protocols. The one we've chosen to use, SoftEther, uses the destination port 443. Now this protocol can be used in almost any network. It does not share the same issues as the legacy protocols with getting through firewalls, proxy servers, and NAT. With SoftEther, even multiple platforms can connect to the server, including mobile devices.
For two-factor authentication, we're going to start with what is two-factor authentication. Another name for two-factor authentication is two-step verification. And what this means is that there are two authentication factors that are required in order for an individual to identify themselves and be able to access the server. The benefit is you have additional security and it's much harder to gain access to someone else's account. This replaces one-step verification, which is typically consistent of a single password and a username. The authentication factors that are used are knowledge factors, which are password and PIN, possession factors, which can be an ID card, a security token, or even your smartphone, and inheritance factors or biometrics, which are fingerprints, voice recognition, or face recognition. As we talked about before, the advantage of two-factor authentication is improved security, and this improves security by reducing data theft. It increases the flexibility and productivity, meaning that you are able to now work remotely on a secure network, and it reduces operational costs for companies. They no longer have to require their employees to be on site. They can now access the server and work from home. Soft Ethernet does not currently support native two-factor authentication. However, Soft Ether does have what is called radius authentication. And radius authentication is a centralized authentication point, such as a server. It requires authorization, and from that server, you are able to manage the account for the remote users. So how does this work? The Radius server stores the user's IP address and credentials, and then when they go to log into the VPN, it requests their credentials and then compares it to their IP address. And then If they pass and have the correct credentials and the correct IP address, they are permitted to connect to the server. Oh, sorry, I forgot. So for the installation, where do we find it and how do we install it? First, you'll need to go to softether-download.com/en.aspx. And the very first thing you'll need to do is select the software. We're using SoftEther VPN, it's a freeware. Then you'll need to select the component. For the component, there are several different options. What we are needing is the software VPN client, which is the user end. And then we need the SoftEther VPN server, which is the administrator server. Next, you'll need to select your platform. In this case, we're using Windows, and then we'll need to select our CPU, which is Intel 64. From there, select the latest build and start your download. The download for the client and the server are pretty basic. You just need to go through and accept the terms and conditions, select whether you're doing the client or the server, if you have both set to download, and then select install.
Now, let's talk about setting up the server. We'll go through the process and we'll pause to look at the security options. When SoftEther is opened the first time, it will walk you through the creation of the server and bridge. We would like to create a remote access VPN server. This lets other users, called clients, connect to the server and any machines we link to it. As a side note, it's also possible to create a site-to-site VPN, which connects one VPN server to another VPN server. But for us, the normal remote access one will work just fine. Next, the server needs to be christened with a hostname. This is the name the administrator will give to the clients to connect to the VPN. It also has an IP address, which can be used to connect if the hostname is ever forgotten. Next, they give you some security options. SoftEther natively uses HTTPS, but it also supports L2TP, or Layer 2 Tunneling Protocol, with and without IP security. L2TP is a tunneling protocol used to support VPNs. It is so common that just searching the term L2TP in the Google Play Store will yield many free and paid apps to connect to a VPN. Macs and PCs usually have built-in VPN clients that use this protocol as well. Now, L2TP itself does not provide encryption, so it is usually coupled with IP security to handle privacy and confidentiality. Next, it is necessary to set up a local bridge by selecting the desired adapter. The bridge, which is a layer 2 connection, acts as the link between the virtual server and a physical, tangible Ethernet device or network adapter. Without a bridge, the virtual network will just be floating in cyberspace by itself. The last thing we need to do is create a user profile for a client. The administrator can select the name, authentication type, expiration date, password, and certificate authentication settings. For demonstration purposes, we chose a simple username and password. And that's it. The VPN is now completely set up with a server, bridge, and user profiles. But a VPN without any clients is pretty boring. So let's invite some people. The administrator will have to give each client the DNS hostname or IP address, the TCP IP port to connect to, their username, and password.
So setting up the client and connecting. When you first open the client VPN, you may find that there isn't a virtual network adapter available to use. So you would need to create one. You start this by double-clicking Add VPN Connection. Once you have clicked Add VPN Connection, the SoftEther VPN Client Manager will open a window. This window requires that you create a virtual network adapter in order to set up a VPN connection. So what you will need to do is select yes. In order to create a virtual network adapter, you'll need to set up a virtual adapter name. The virtual adapter name needs to range between VPN and all the way to VPN 127. After you have selected your VPN name, you'll select OK. As you see here, there is a VPN client adapter named VPN, and it is enabled. It has a MAC address and a version number. Now that the VPN is enabled, you can select Add VPN Client, or sorry, Add VPN Connection, which will open a new window called New VPN Connection Settings and Properties. In order to make a connection to your server, you need to fill out the destination VPN server information and the user authentication settings information. This information is collected from your server administrator. Once you have filled out your host name, make sure you have the correct port number, and have filled out your username and password, you can select OK. Oh, as a note, the virtual hub name fills itself out automatically after you've selected the proper host name and port number. Now that you have a new VPN connection, it's going to show that it is offline. It'll show the server host name. It'll show the virtual hub name, and then it'll also show the virtual network adapter that it's using. In order to connect to the server, you're going to need to double-click on your new VPN connection. On the far right, you may receive a request from Windows to connect to other devices on the network. We selected yes, since we are planning on connecting to and communicating with other devices. After selecting yes or no, you will be returned back to the main screen to the VPN server. This provides information about the connection. Hit OK. During the process where the VPN is connecting, you will be provided a IP address, a virtual IP address to connect to the server. It is, oh, I didn't put a note on it. And then it'll also show you loading screens on the process of your connection. After you are connected and hit OK to the VPN connection information, you will be returned back to the SoftEther VPN Client Manager screen. The new VPN connection will now show connected instead of offline. We tested this connection by running a ping, and we also connected additional users to see if we could connect to those users as well.
Once the server is set up and the users are connected, you have many options to manage the security of this virtual private network. This includes settings for the aforementioned Radius server two-factor authentication, settings for trusted and revoked certificates, and settings for which logs to keep. Let's explore the user list and IP address control list. The user list lets you see many items about the user profiles that we have set up. One interesting item is the last login date and time. Now, let's suppose that I notice something fishy, such as an employee logging into a company network at a strange time. I could check through the logs and see what they were accessing and how often it was happening. If needed, I can configure their profile for tighter security or just delete the user completely. We can also make our VPN more secure by using an IP address control list. We can create a blacklist to completely block any attempt to access the VPN from a certain IP address. We can also block all addresses by default and only allow the trusted addresses on a whitelist. That's what we have to share with you about SoftEther VPN. We hope that you can use this for added security both at work and at home. And